So these are the methods that are brought to us by the Buddha, and the Buddha is the object here, but you can use any realized master, any deity. There are many enlightened, billions, innumerable enlightened beings that have become enlightened over throughout since beginningless time, and that you must also know that they were all like us at one time. Every single, even Buddha, even Shakyamuni Buddha, at one time was an ordinary being, and there's many stories about his previous lives when he was just an ordinary being like us, and he practiced virtue, generosity. He took the really, really long path. There is a short path now, Buddha taught, but Buddha never took the short path. He took the really long path and still achieved enlightenment, just to show us that it's possible, even doing it the hardest way, it's possible to get to full enlightenment. So anyway, karmic formations. Karmic formations means karma. Everyone's heard of karma, but now you're going to understand what karma is. Karma means action, the Sanskrit word for action. But actually the important thing about karma is not the action, it's the intention of the action. The intention of the action is like this. If you talk to someone, if you speak to someone, converse with someone in a kindly, loving, helpful way, and it has the effect of calming them, pleasing them, it makes them happy, that you share with them and they share their problems with you, etc. And this is a wonderful thing. Obviously, everyone in the world understands that that's a lovely, wonderful thing. But the salesman does that. The salesman also does that. The salesman, very attractive in his suit, and he is the top salesman. And why is he the top salesman? It's because people trust him, people believe him. People are taken in by what he's saying, and people are taken in by his, whatever it is that makes a great salesman. I don't know, but there are some very effective, very successful salesmen in the world. Now, on the one hand, you've got the good person who is genuinely sharing, caring, and loving, and helping the person. And you've got the other person, the salesman, who seems genuine, sharing, caring to the person, and the person is happy. The person is very, it's the same. Outwardly, they're both doing the same thing, but their intention is completely different. The karma of the nurse, the stranger, the passerby who stops and kindly has a word and shares and cares and has that genuine, loving, selfless, no gain intention, the karma from that, wonderful. And then, of course, if dedicated to their future enlightenment for the sake of all beings, well, if it's dedicated to their own enlightenment, that's wonderful. And then if it's dedicated to their enlightenment for the sake of all beings, that's even vastly more. I explain those in the future, probably not tonight. It's the two different paths. So you've got the good person who genuinely has the genuine intention of helping and caring for the person and how they feel and trying to make them feel better. And then you have the salesman who's doing exactly the same thing, but deep down his intention is profit, to make money, selfish. Doesn't really care about the person at all. It's just an act. The karma from this is horrendous. The karma from this is horrendous. And the one thing that makes it worse is that when the sale has been done and the customer goes out the door, the salesman goes, yes, it's called rejoicing. And that rejoicing sets it firm as a negative seed. And it's once a negative deed has been rejoiced in, it's very, very difficult to purify it. There are many methods given by the Buddha to purify rejoiced negative deeds, but these are special techniques specifically given to do that. In worldly ways, there's nothing. There's nothing in the worldly context for purifying rejoiced negative deeds. So whenever you see someone do something negative and then rejoice in it, feel very, very great compassion for them, because they will definitely 100% guaranteed have to go through the suffering of that deed in the future, and it can be horrendous. All the sufferings that you're seeing in the world today that you think, oh, that is horrendous, that's intolerable suffering. Those sufferings are the results of those rejoiced negative deeds in past lives. So what you have to understand about karma is, one, intention.
Isn't some of the suffering though just like where you're born geographically, unfortunately?
No.
Just say, for example, in a drought area in Africa.
No,
it's
right.
just bad news that you're born there.
I will answer that question by carrying on this teaching. Hold on. Karmic formations is the formation of all the karma that has ripened as you passed away, of the seeds from the past lives. It denotes where you're born, the conditions where you're born, the environment where you're born, dusty, not dusty, poverty, hunger, wealthy, all good food, good education, nice parents, bad parents, skin, complexion, eyesight, illnesses, relationships, failed relationships, how many children you're going to have, how many children you're not going to have, whether your children will be respectful, well-behaved, spoilt, graspy, horrible, nice. Everything is decided by your karma. The Buddha's karma was perfect. That final rebirth as the Buddha, of course, every sport he entered, he won, never lost. Every game he played, won, never lost. Everything he touched went well. Nothing ever went wrong. Everything. Never got ill, not once. Because pure, perfect karma. So this is the reason we make offerings, the 7 offerings of water to the Buddha, is because the Buddha represents perfection. Perfection is basically virtue, virtuous actions, kindness, helping others, selflessness. So anything to do with selfishness, anything to do with self-cherishing, creates negative karma that we have to go through in the future. Negative thoughts create negative mental karma in the future, dullness, lack of intelligence, and obviously all the kleshas, what we call the obscurations and obstructions, and mental obstructions. Negative speech will create you to have speech problems in the future, limited vocabulary. There's also mouth deformations and all sorts of things. Swearing, it says in the text that swearing, lots of swearing and what the Americans call cursing, causes hair lip and all sorts of things. So that's why we should always be very careful with speech. And physical acts. Obviously, physical acts, if we commit murder or killing, even insects, this can very obviously creates illness, and there's so much illness in the world today, etc. And deformities when we're born, etc., etc. Everything that's suffering, everything that is suffering is caused by negative acts in the past. Not necessarily rejoiced. Rejoicing just means that they are absolutely, but they're just non-rejoiced negative acts are also. There's also a result. Everything has a result. Karma basically means action. When it says actions, what it means actually is cause and effect. Every single action is a cause, and it definitely will have an effect. Good. There's 3 types of actions: good, neutral, and negative, bad. And so positive actions bring a positive result, neutral actions bring a neutral result, and negative actions bring a negative result. A positive action which brings a positive result is a selfless, wholesome, omniscient, selfless, helping others, altruistic action. Neutral is, I don't know, knitting, cooking, going to the toilet, just a neutral. There's no good in it. You're not being selfish about it. It's just a neutral action, and the result of it will be neutral in the future. Nothing particularly happens. It's just you've still got self-grasping there, so you'll still be reborn, but you kind of have a sort of okay, sort of, what would you call it? Beige? No, vanilla conditions. And then negative actions, of course, they've got their result, and it is said in all three cases that the result is similar to the cause. So if you, well, I've got a good story to end this with, actually. If you're a fisherman, none of you are fishermen. If you are, don't just give it up now, because it's extremely likely that you will be born as a fish. It's extremely likely, and for a long time, not just once. And so every action precisely has a result. And this is very helpful, actually, for people to know, because people very often say, I can't understand why this is happening to me. This is so unjustified what's happening to me. Everyone else is healthy. Why am I, why do I keep getting ill? Through karma, you can understand why things don't go well. You can accept it. Rather than thinking it's unjustified and unfair, you know why. Absolutely, you can guarantee 100% that it wasn't you, of course, because every time we die, we go through the nature of mind. And so, we can't say that it's exactly us. There are some people that say that our past lives are like, this is going to be a bit technical, but they say that it's like beads on a mala, a rosary. And the string is the mind, and the beads are the bodies. And that's our past lives, and the mental continuum is the string. It's a nice analogy, but it's not actually true. Because after we die and we enter into the perfection, the absolute perfection of the pure perfection of clear light, luminosity, or what we call the ground of all, the basis of all, the nature of mind. Once we enter into that, the string in the mala, in the rosary, dissolves. So it's not really a string. I can see where they get it from, because karmic formations carry on through it. We re-emerge with these karmic, so it seems like there is a sort of... Yeah, but the Tibetan masters call it more like blocks, building blocks or bricks. Or when you're building a temple, you put one brick on top of another. There's not actually a connection. There's nothing running through it, but one supports the next. So anyway, it's a bit technical. So karma. Now you understand why things go well. Now you understand why things are neutral. Now you understand why things go badly. And you can accept it a lot more easily, because that's what we've created. It wasn't necessarily us. You can't remember who it was. But when you purify the mind, as you ascend through virtue and practice, you will be able to remember your past lives. And it's very, very common in Tibet, in the monasteries, for people to remember 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 600, 5,000. The Buddha could remember all his past lives. And the Buddha knew everyone else's past lives and future lives. But anyway, we'll come into that.